Picture this. A brief rainstorm has just ended. You've got 26-year-old Bianca carefully navigating a curved highway on-ramp. She knows exactly how slick that rising oil makes the fresh pavement, right? So she waits for the road to straighten, gently presses the gas pedal, and instantly loses all traction. Her rear-wheel drive car violently swings out. She is hydroplaning across 3 entire lanes of highway traffic. Cars are literally flying past her at 70 miles per hour. She even locks eyes with another driver, sees his frustrated face as he blares his horn speeding past her spinning car. Helplessly, she slides toward the edge of the highway, slamming sideways into a grassy embankment. There's no guardrail, just wet grass, a steep drop, and the brutal, sickening shudder of an impact she feels deep in her chest. The car finally comes to a rest at this impossible angle, tilted right toward oncoming traffic. But then, it's like she's grabbed by an invisible hand. The car violently spins back toward the roadway. Bianca braces as the concrete divider rushes toward her windshield. A tremendous crash. Another violent jolt. In that split second, she has absolute certainty that her life has just ended. And then, complete, impossible silence. Bianca opens her eyes. And this brilliantly illustrates the bizarre nature of what we're looking at today. Contrast Bianca's incredibly vivid sensory memory of 2 brutal impacts and the absolute certainty of death against the physical reality she woke up to. Her car wasn't crushed, it wasn't upside down, it was sitting perfectly intact, engine totally off, centered neatly between the painted lines of a lane, exactly as if she had simply pulled over to park. She steps out into the cool air, smells the wet asphalt, and walks around her car 3 times. There wasn't a single scratch, no dents, no damaged tires whatsoever, yet her hands were violently shaking from the physical adrenaline of a crash that structurally never happened. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're investigating 6 incredible source accounts that challenge our fundamental understanding of time, space, and existence itself. Section 1. When reality suddenly malfunctions.
Section 2. Echoes from the unseen. We're going to start with some chilling instances where the barrier between our physical space and, well, something else just seems to bleed right over.
Okay, consider this fascinating account. A young couple is visiting a cousin's old, kind of dreamlike house, and they're sitting in this dimly lit, cluttered basement. Out of nowhere, a sharp ringing cuts through the quiet. It's an antique rotary phone sitting on a small table. But as the husband walks up to it, the logic completely breaks down. There are absolutely no wires, no phone line, no power cord. It is entirely disconnected from any physical network in the world, yet it is ringing. Against his better judgment, he picks up that remarkably cold plastic receiver. He's expecting static, right? Or maybe some faint breathing. Instead, he is met with absolute deafening silence. When the cousin comes back down and they explain what just went down, she doesn't laugh it off. She doesn't even try to rationalize it. The color completely drains from her face, and with genuine, unamused fright, she just says, "Get upstairs." Turns out that disconnected phone belonged to their great-grandmother, and before she passed away in that very house, she would sit and spend hours talking into that exact receiver, absolutely convinced she was having active conversations with her deceased husband. This next account perfectly bridges the gap between the ethereal and the physical. Check this out. A young man has a super vivid astral projection dream. In the dream, he floats down to his basement and absolutely terrifies an intruder. The intruder looks at him with pure, unadulterated terror, like he's seeing a ghost, turns and just bolts, while the dreamer gets violently pulled back into his own body. He jolts awake to a loud crash and a barking dog. Now match that crazy dream against the physical evidence found the very next morning. The basement door is wide open, boxes are smashed everywhere, and there are perfectly physical, dirty handprints on the wooden fence outside in the exact spot where someone would have scrambled over in a blind panic. It really forces us to ask a difficult question, doesn't it? Was this just a wildly vivid dream that happened to be perfectly timed with a real-world break-in? Or could a sleeping mind truly manifest a physical presence that terrified an actual intruder? Did 2 parallel realities briefly, violently overlap in that dark basement? This physical manifestation perfectly bridges us right into our next category of malfunctions.
Section 3. Glitches in time and space.
Let's map out the strict spatial layout of this wild story from 2008. First, a teenager steps outside a hangout shed to use the bathroom. Looking past the parked cars into the pitch black, he sees his friend's older brother standing unnaturally rigid, just staring out into the night. It's weird, right? Next, he watches his brother deliberately walk behind the parked cars and completely vanish from sight. Super confused, the teen immediately turns around and walks straight back into the shed. Keep in mind here, this shed has exactly one entrance. Absolutely no one slipped past him. So the teen walks inside and casually asks his friend, "Hey, what's your brother doing outside by the cars?" His friend looks totally confused. And right at that exact moment, a voice calls out from across the room, "I'm right here." It's the brother. He is sitting comfortably inside, holding a drink, wearing the exact same shirt, the exact same jeans as the figure outside in the dark. He had never left the room.
And hey, if duplicating a person in physical space isn't jarring enough for you, consider this crazy case of overlapping time, the teleporting college roommate. Picture a totally mundane scene. It's a lazy Saturday morning in a freshman college dorm. Our narrator is just lying in bed, half awake, mindlessly scrolling on his phone.
Let's look at how this builds, because this 15-minute window is literally physically impossible. At 11:30 a.m., his roommate throws on a hoodie, grabs his keys, says he's heading out to get some breakfast, and walks out the front door. You hear the lock click shut. Okay, just 15 minutes later, at 11:45 a.m., the bathroom door opens, the roommate steps out, wrapped in a towel, hair soaking wet, asking, "You okay?" to his absolutely horrified roommate. The wet roommate then goes back into the bathroom. Then, at exactly 11:50 a.m., the front door unlocks. The roommate walks in, wearing the perfectly dry hoodie he originally left in, carrying a takeout container from the dining hall. The narrator immediately sprints over to the bathroom and throws open the door, but he finds nothing. There's no steam in the air, there are no wet towels on the floor, the shower tiles are completely bone dry, the room is utterly empty. The wet roommate has literally vanished into thin air. Yet, as the narrator noted, what bothered him the absolute most wasn't just seeing double, it was that both versions of his roommate felt perfectly physically real. Section 4. The friend who vanished. So, what happens when an entire human existence is seemingly wiped completely from the timeline? Our narrator is 4 years old, living in a military family stationed in Northern Ireland, and he has a best friend named Leo. The memories of Leo are documented with startling clarity. The warmth of his family's home, the specific sound of music drifting from their living room, the shared laughter over dinner. And finally, that heartbreaking moment of waving goodbye from the backseat of a car as his family moved away. Leo stood right there on the curb, waving back until he was completely out of sight. Jump forward to age 16. He goes looking for a bit of nostalgia, but instead, he finds a terrifying void. There is not a single family photo of Leo. When he asks his mom about him, she has absolutely no memory of the boy. Driven to find some kind of proof, he digs into military housing records. Nothing. He tries to verify the old neighborhood details. Still nothing. It was as if Leo had been meticulously and completely erased from reality, existing only in our narrator's mind. Eventually, he just gives up. But years later, out of absolutely nowhere, a Facebook friend request arrives. The name stops him cold. Leo Quiroga. The profile picture? It's an older version of the exact same boy, the unmistakably familiar face of his forgotten childhood best friend. His hands are literally shaking. Validation at last, right? Heart racing, he clicks accept. And the exact moment he does, reality violently snaps shut. The screen flashes, 404 error, profile unavailable. He refreshes the page. Nothing. He checks his friends list. Gone. The request completely vanishes, leaving zero digital trace that it ever existed in the first place. Just a ghost in the machine, disappearing the second it was observed. Section 5. Questioning what is real. So, what should we take away from all this? We've looked at cars that somehow undo their own crashes, timelines that overlap in messy dorm rooms, and entire people who just vanish into 404 errors. Are these merely false memories, sleep hallucinations, and incredibly strange coincidences? Or, as Bianca felt standing next to her undamaged car on that rainy highway, are these genuine moments where parallel universes briefly bleed into our own? It really leaves us wondering, how fragile is the reality you are sitting in right now? Think about that the next time you hear a disconnected phone ring, or catch a glimpse of someone standing just outside your window. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what you see.